Hey everybody, sorry for the 1 minute delay there, just technical stuff.
How dare we lose 1 minute?
I tell you. Welcome to the Sunday Slowdown at J&J Acres. We are a part of the homesteadnetwork.com. So if this is your first time stumbling onto our live feed and you're wondering what is this all about, you can head over to the homesteadnetwork.com, and I've got a little thing here. You can go over to their show times and learn about all the different YouTube channels that are participating in this. Generally speaking, the idea is for homesteaders, preppers, little family farms, people trying to be self-sustainable. We're coming together to give you some live programming to be able to know what we're trying to do, and maybe to take some advice from you, to give some advice to you, whatever the case may be. And really just to be a international community, because homesteading is something that we're all familiar with on a local level. You get used to talking to the neighbor and things like that, but it's such a bigger thing. And with technology on our side, we can reach out there and talk to people from all over the globe and learn tips and tricks that we may not have been exposed to otherwise.
And
so
awesome, cool things.
Check that out. And what that?
And awesome cool things.
Awesome cool things.
Awesome cool things. That's new. Awesome cool things.
So I want to first off thank any of you who put up with our audio troubles last week. Those problems were identified. Simply speaking, I had a really stuffy head, and it was nothing more than unmuting the wrong microphone. So in the fancy little live software here, there's a bunch of little microphones. I mean, there's the webcam, there's the one that's on the computer itself, there's the one that's kind of stuck in there from when I used to wear the headset for this show, and I just clicked on the wrong one, and so it was a terrible audio recording. So if the audio is sounding awesome tonight, then what I really would like for you to do is hit that thumbs up button over on the side, over on the video, and let me know that the audio is doing well.
We deserve good audio for good. We deserve thumbs up for good audio.
Speaking of the audio, I'd like to announce that we have now become syndicated. So this is kind of a big deal, makes us feel good about ourselves. If you weren't aware, we take the audio from our live YouTube show, and we strip out the audio, we put it into a podcast format over on our website, jnjacres.net. Well, there's a website out there called the Prepper Broadcasting Network, and they have picked up our show in syndication. So that means that they're taking that podcast and replaying it on their network. So just want to give them a shout out. We also provide our podcast on our website, on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher. So there's a bunch of different places you can find it. But if you're interested in hearing prepper and homesteading stuff all the time, you can find it over there at Prepper Broadcasting Network.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Yes.
Okay, so Mike Miller left a comment here. He already says, "Do you Etsy?" with a bunch of thumbs up. So if you haven't seen the most recent video that came out, I asked the question, do you even Etsy? Because Etsy's been around since 2005. I had to go look that information up. I didn't know when they first became a website. But generally speaking, if you're not familiar with it, this is a place where people like you and I, or whether it's a home craft that you personally make on the side sort of thing, or as a home business, and you need a platform to be able to sell your product out of, Etsy allows you to do that. So you can go over there and find all sorts of different things. There's really no one thing. I believe that Etsy has certain rules involved with, it has to be a made thing. It's not reselling. So
How dare they?
but we have purchased several things here recently, and I was nervous because the price is generally a little higher than you might expect to pay if you went down to a Walmart or any other kind of department store. And you wonder to yourself, okay, I don't know these people. I don't know if this is really worth the money that I'm putting into this. And I started sending direct messages to people, and they were actually writing back. I would send an example of the graphic, and they would write back and say, yes, I can do that. And So I was getting some communication. That already starts the warm, fuzzy feeling inside. I feel like I'm actually talking to a human here and not some, factory mill that's trying to just make a quick buck off people. And let me tell you, son, everything I have received so far has been top quality. Really good manufacturing that people are putting into their stuff. So if you missed that video, go back and check it out. You'll find out that a friend of ours, Daddy Curb's Farm, here on YouTube, during the day, he's just like me in the sense that he's a weekend warrior homesteader. We do this thing as often as we can, but during the day we still pay the bills by going to work. And he works as a graphics and web designer at a company out where he lives. And I was having the darndest time. I'm fair to middling when it comes to dealing with graphics, but I couldn't get these letters to go in an arc just the way I wanted to. And I figured he probably had the tools at his disposal to make quick work of it. And sure enough, he whipped it out for me, and I took that graphics design over to Etsy, and the guy turned it into a customized metal hitch cover. And it just looks really great. And there's other things too, like the sign we use at the beginning of J&J Acres. We actually had a little snafu with that. When it came in, I realized that at the top it only says J&J. And then there's the logo and then established 2002 at the bottom. So I went back and I looked, and in my original message, I said I wanted it to say J&J Acres across the top. And so I thought, what do we do here? I wrote back, and without even blinking, the lady said, I'll cut you another one. Not a problem. It'll be on its way tomorrow. But I did say J&J Acres in the custom quote I sent you. All right, I did say J&J. She had left out the acres. So the way this kind of went down was I sent a message saying, hey, can you do one of these signs similar to what you have in this listing, but have it say J&J Acres across the top with this logo in the middle? And I sent her a copy of our logo. And she wrote back and said, yes, I can. I'll send you a custom quote. So the custom quote comes across, and of course it's just like invoicing. So there's line item kind of stuff in there. And it says J&J custom logo, established 2002. So she had missed that word acres, but then when she sent me the custom quote, I missed that she missed the acres, and I still paid for it. But incredible customer service. She didn't even flinch, sent out a new one, and so now we have a sign that says J&J Acres, and we kind of want to remake that introduction, but that I was out there for like an hour trying to get the light just right to shoot that introduction.
Hey, Jared.
Yeah.
Several of our viewers actually say that they have Etsy stores. Rena Ferris, Grits and Gravy Farmstead, and Deep South Homestead all say they have Etsy stores.
Well, that's awesome. So I'm sure that each one of you have something different and offer different things. So I know that the chat here in the live show won't let you post a website, but I believe you can kind of get around that if we put in the fact that it's Etsy.com and let everybody know your name on Etsy, like J&J Acres or whatever your shop name is on Etsy. You've got my 110% permission to post your username in there and direct people over and let them know what kind of things you've got there, because I think this is great. To me this is just, it's the homesteading mindset, because I've always said this before. I think sometimes when we grow things, we try to do everything, but that's not really the way communities are meant to work. And if I am terrible at growing tomatoes, but my neighbor across the street makes the biggest, juiciest slicers for a mater sandwich you could ever imagine, but she doesn't keep bees, well then why in the world wouldn't I trade her some honey for some maters, and we can work together like that. And I think that's the same thing when we're talking about Etsy. These are people working from home, doing something that they have a passion for. And okay, by the standards of commerce on the internet, we have to exchange money. But I think it's the same thing. It's just like supporting your neighbor, even if they happen to be half the country away. So I'm all for it. I think it's really great, and I haven't been disappointed once with the products we've received. The other things we've got have been little presency kind of stuff, so I'm gonna keep that on the private. But
Stamp of approval.
yeah, stamp of approval. Pretty
Stamp
good
of
stuff.
approval.
Rain Country Homestead said, how is everybody in the family feeling now? So normally on our show, we would talk about what's happened during the last week and what's coming up in the week to come. And last week, pretty much the story goes, well, Jennifer just said it.
Yay, we did it. We answered the question. Thanks.
I was in the ER.
Yeah, Jennifer had to go to the ER. It got so bad for her. Hers got to, well, I suppose the benefit of going to the ER is to get an official diagnosis, which was exactly what Dr. Mom had already said, bronchitis. So how's everybody doing? We're doing much, much better. Most of us still have that bit of an itchy throat where it just feels a little bit raw and you get a cough that you can't control.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think you can probably tell by the way I'm speaking that things are doing a lot better. We've been very active this weekend, gotten several projects working on or done, and we'll share some of that with you in just a minute. But everybody's feeling pretty good. So before I go any further, please, if you have any questions, leave them in all caps. And the way we kind of have our little system worked up here is so I don't have to try to pay attention to the scrolling chat feed. Jennifer's monitoring that, and if there's a question, she sends that over to me on a little private message so that I can see just that question, and it gives me the ability to finish what I'm talking about and then see what the next question is. So if you've got a question, stack them up now, start putting in your questions, and we'll get to them in order. And of course, if you've got a question about something I'm talking about right at the time, she'll interrupt me and make sure that I answer your question. Okay?
Woo, interruption. Tink.
All right, so last week was pretty much, generally speaking, the family trying to get better. Homeschooling was scratched for want of movies and medicines and hot teas and soup. Lots of soup. So, but this weekend, things have gotten really busy again. So let's go into our normal picture show. I like to share some things with you, and I will describe them as we go for our listening audience.
I think tomorrow's going to be busy because then we've got school and taekwondo the next night.
Yeah, you guys got taekwondo. Oh, boy, you also haven't seen, you even remember how to do taekwondo?
We haven't been there in 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks since you've done any taekwondo.
I miss it like crazy. How about you?
Here. It's been too long. I need to, like my gi's sitting there getting dusty now.
We're probably not going to belt up this cycle either because of it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be lucky next time. Okay, Q show.
All right, over to the picture show. All right, so later, this video is still being shot. It hasn't even been finished yet, but I wanted to share this with you. There's a squash out there, which I shared in the garden, what's still growing in the garden video over this last week, called Silver Edged Squash. And this is why it's called Silver Edge. You can see the coloring around the edge of the seed. And in person, it has a silverish sheen to it. And this is a very interesting thing because the seeds are huge in comparison to the squash themselves. So you get these little small, like softball-ish, maybe just a hair bigger than softball size, but certainly not bowling ball size.
They're not softballs at all, they hurt.
Size squash, and in the inside you get these seeds that two of these side by side would be bigger than a quarter. So there you go. Let me pull up the next slide here.
Click.
Let me make sure things are going. All right, so now we're going to talk a lot about deer. Y'all about to see a bunch of pictures from the deer stand. This is getting exciting to me. Last year we only had one buck, I think. No, we saw two different bucks. One of them is back this year. But here's the first shot showing bucks in the back of the property. So we are certainly keeping a close eye on that. And here's Bambi.
Bambi!
Y'all check it out. We got a mama off in the woods and a mama in the field.
Bambi's
and
mom
two
is
little
back.
Bambis.
Bambi's mom is back. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
You're getting too excited. Maybe this means the fire's next week.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No.
All right.
It's so sad.
All right. But anyway, so we're excited to see the fawns out there. And we got some more pictures of them coming up too. All right, so here's the best picture of these bucks. This one up front, I dare say, is legal to shoot in the state of Mississippi. The other one might not quite be. I think he's still a little too young. But, you know, here's the thing about deer hunting for me. I don't know how it is where you are, but here in Mississippi, if you own the land, if the deed has your name in it, then you can shoot deer on your property. You don't have to have any special hunting licenses or training or whatever. You got to follow the general guidelines and rules, but you don't have to do all that extra stuff. And because of that, when you live out in the country, everybody around you shoots deer. So the biggest concern is, you know, like when I see this buck, I think to myself, okay, well, I'd really like to wait another year on him and see how well he does. But then I have to think, but what if my neighbor shoots him? And it wasn't but the first day of hunting season, I hear somebody take a shot, and the first thing out of my mouth was, that better not have been my buck, you son of a gun. Because you just don't know. You don't know what your neighbor's doing out there.
They want to know about your game cam.
Ooh,
okay.
It's the game cam.
The game cam is a Browning Strike Force Elite. We get ours off Amazon.
We have 3 of them. So.
Yeah, we bought one. Well, let me tell you all something. I'm going to bring the camera back here, tell you a little story about this, because
sounds like something you'd use in the military.
So the Browning Strike Force Elite, that's the name of it. And we have had, I think, 3 other brands before I ever bought this one. I had a Moultrie at one point. I had another one called Day 6, I think was what it was called. But it was specifically, I bought it because it was supposed to be like the top end for time lapse. And I know there was another one somewhere in there. I just can't remember, because the Moultrie died, and I had another regular one, and it died. And I got this Browning. I went on a website that did a bunch of ratings, and bang for the buck, this was the best one for what I could afford. So there is a non-elite version, and it's just over $100, and the elite version is about $130. I would say go with either one. The Browning Strike Force, I wouldn't recommend anything else. But we got the Browning Strike Force, we used it for a season, and then decided we wanted to have more cameras to watch more areas, and there was a sale on a double pack of the Elites, and so we got 2 of those. So that's the one I recommend. I mean, it works out great for me. So there you are. All right, back to picture show, and you can see some more pictures of. Like
I put up a link in the chat room directly to that camera on Amazon.
Wow.
All right, so there you go. Link in the comments for that
link
camera.
In the comments. Get him.
Okay, so here's our unicorn. This is the buck we had from last year, and Jennifer was helping me read the regulations before. And as we understand it, if we wanted to go ahead and cull this guy, we don't know if it's because he had damage to his antlers, or if it's just bad growth. But as we understand it, Brandon could shoot this guy anytime during the season with the appropriate weapon for the time, and Brandon can harvest him. But in Mississippi, the regulations for bucks, I don't know if there's a better picture, give you the unicorn look. In Mississippi, the spread and the, I forget what it's called, but how much forward the antlers go, give you the determination on whether or not you can shoot that buck legally. And from the way it looks like this antler is growing, he would never ever be a shooter. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
It looks like Elliot from Open Season.
Elliot from Open Season.
Yes! He's always losing his horns. He just can't keep them.
Well, whether you want to call him Elliot or a unicorn, he's got to go.
No, don't kill Elliot. He's awesome.
See, here's the last picture of unicorn. So in Mississippi, you should be able to see my mouse, but in Mississippi, the idea being that the horn or the antler would normally grow in a forward sweeping motion. It would grow up and then forward sweep. But unicorn here doesn't do that. It sweeps backwards. And so I'm not sure how to ever judge whether or not this unicorn is going to meet specs. So either the spread has to go, it's like 15 inches and is basically ear tip to ear tip, or it has to do a forward sweep, but to go past the ear. But this is growing in such a way where I don't see how that's ever going to happen because it's sweeping backwards. But that regulation says it's an either or kind of situation, and it does read as if you only have to worry about one antler. So it's like if one antler is missing, you can judge whether or not the buck's legal by going by this other regulation. But with the horns sweeping backwards, I don't know how you judge. I think the easiest thing at the end of the day is say, Brandon, there he is, shoot him, and we don't have to worry about whether or not we broke any rules.
I'll go get my bow.
All right, so here's another one of Bambi sticking its head in a bush over here.
So
that's
adorable.
the back of a mama up front right next to the camera. And there you go, there's a baby. I don't think that in this picture that it's nursing. I think in this picture it's getting in on the salt block that's there. But this one is definitely a picture of baby nursing on mama with the other baby out there in the field eating away. So, I mean, isn't that just cool to be able to see? I never see these deer in during the day. I never see them myself unless I'm up in the deer stand. And so this, to me, having this deer camera back there, it's like a secret way into the animal world. And of course, this thing takes 1,000 pictures, and you know, there's pictures of the deer, there's pictures of rabbits, there's pictures of coons, and the crows love to come in here. So yeah, it's just kind of neat to see, you know, what's happening out in the woods when you're not there. There's another picture of unicorn. You can kind of see his gnarly antler that's coming out of his right side, and the stub that's over there on the left. That stub is exactly the same as it was last year. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with him.
Maybe he lives here.
And there's just the two juveniles. Woo.
Whoopsie.
Sorry for the noise. Had something fall there.
Clink.
Alright, and now that's it for the deer. And here's your sneak peek. Folks, we've been talking about this for a long time. You can read the title. It's as plain as day. We're keeping the pigs. So...
Wait, I thought we were going to kill the pigs for bacon. I was ready for the bacon. Give
well,
me.
before you say anything else, because you know more than the people watching, you're just going to have to come back and watch the video when it comes out. There's a part 1 and a part 2 coming out later in the week, and you can learn the whys, the hows, and what we're doing. So this video series is about why we're keeping the pigs and where and how we are keeping the pigs. So we made some changes on the property. This project just got finished this morning. So come back and check that out. And that's it. That's it for the picture show.
I will see this video after this. I will.
So big news. We're keeping the pigs, but there's good reason for it, and I don't want to give it away because I really want you to come back and be a part of our channel here on YouTube. So if it's your first time being here, or if you haven't done it before, please subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost you a nickel. And you can go in there and tell it to send you updates. It normally won't, but if you tell it to email you, then as soon as a video goes live on the channel, it'll send you an email, and you can click over and find out what's going on.
Wait for your computer to chime.
Arnie Hancock would like to suggest that we put out a red mineral salt block. It's good for the antlers.
Okay. I was worried. What?
That name. Interesting.
You just insulted the man on live video.
Sorry. It's the greatest name ever.
can't help it, folks. I don't.
John Lord also says time to scatter seed alfalfa, clover, soybeans, green peas, and the deer will come running.
Okay, so that's why they're already there. If you go back and look at there's actually a playlist. Jennifer might be able to pull it up and send a link over to you guys, called 2016/2017 deer season. And you can go in there and I'll tell you about the field mix that I spread. We also spread Milo right up to the first day of deer season, like we're allowed to here in Mississippi, specifically for the deer to eat. And we've got the salt block out there, which we're allowed to do. I can hunt over the salt block. Now the red one, I guess I need to learn more about that, because when you go and look at the blocks in the store, I think one has like 98% salt and the other one has 100% salt, and I don't know. If it really helps the antlers, then fine. But I guess that's just why I get the 100% salt, because there's really never been any good information on why I would buy the red one over the white one. So if that's something you're knowledgeable about, then drop it.
Because it's your favorite color, that's why.
Buy the red because it's their favorite color?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a black one.
And Fun RV Creations wants to know if we ever bow hunt.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yes. I have a nice big bow in my room. I got it for Christmas.
Careful. See? More bad noises. I tell you.
Sorry,
what.
people of the internet. Look at this crossbow. Let me pick up the piano.
Yes, I use a crossbow. There you go.
Show it to them. You could get mine, but
yeah.
take a minute.
By the way, Apollo Farms is laughing at you
How come?
for dropping everything.
Yeah.
I'm a klutz. That's all there is to it.
All right,
Fix
so
it. Not gonna do anything about it.
this is what I go deer hunting with. I don't have a deer rifle. My deer field is the max distance from where my stand is about 75 yards, and it gets as close as 25 yards. So I mean, there's just no real need for me to have a firearm. But I've got a shotgun and I've got slugs, and
all sorts of guns right here.
It could do things like that. But anyway, this is a Mission MXB. I believe it's called a Dart. I believe is the model name, in case you're interested in
It's
it.
a very strange name for such a giant.
And we picked this one out specifically because both of us can fire it.
Woo.
Yeah, so it's got a real good draw on it, and came with the draw puller, whatever. I don't know, I liked a lot of things about it. I liked how compact it was, and yet still has the power.
Looks nice.
Well, it does look nice, but I mean, function matters more than anything. So,
yeah, I guess so.
The draw poundage compared to the feet per second it puts out, and how easy it is to draw in general. I like that I know a lot of crossbows do this, but the place to put your foot is here rather than there being a bar sticking out here. So it is easier that if you're up in a stand and you want to bring it up uncocked and then cock it in the stand, you can. So I don't know.
Jay Walker wants to know, have we shot it? Of course we've shot it.
Multiple times. Like, we've practiced before. I've practiced with mine.
Yes, we've shot it plenty of times. I've got one of those super duper expensive crossbow shooting targets. I shot it at a deer, but come to find out it was a reindeer, and the deer just flew off. And I'm.
Oh wow!
Where did you get it?
It was magical.
Yeah.
Magical.
We bought this from a local. For heaven's sakes.
Like, we've been there. It's over
Planners.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's next to that store.
Oh, okay.
Southern Sportsman. Southern Sportsman is a store here in Meridian, Mississippi. Owned by local folks. Went there and bought it there, and Nice thing about them is they have a little range set up, so we knew exactly how it felt to shoot it and everything before we ever bought it. So,
We shot
Do you know how heavy it is?
it's not heavy. I don't know.
It's not that heavy. Yeah, it's pretty light.
Brandon, sneak out and go grab the digital scale that's on my nightstand.
The digital scale.
Y'all got questions? We got answers. Stick up with it.
It's disappearing.
Come
I
on.
might grab my bag.
Hurry up, son. Just give me the scale, please, first. Brandon, it's next on my nightstand, son.
Hey, XZKT wants to know, if you hunt with the crossbow and don't get a shot, how do you release the string?
Okay, grab the bow again. There's a couple different ways you can do it. There's one way I would actually recommend doing it. So, you technically capable, it's possible to decock it. I did that once without any problems whatsoever. I did it a second time and tried to rip my hand off.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do that. Otherwise, grab the...
Bow and arrows.
Otherwise, what you want is a decocking bolt. So here's my quiver. I've got 2 arrows on there for shooting at deer and 1 for decocking. So all day, if I sit up in the stand and don't shoot a deer, I take my broad tip out and put it back in the quiver, and I take this out. And so what this is, it's a it literally is a crossbow release bolt. And the way it's designed is with this big, heavy, flat tip. So I don't know what the specs are for it. You'd have to look it up. This is made by a company called Carbon Express. Carbon Express Crossbow Release Bolt. And I've never tried releasing it from the ground, but being up in a deer stand, I just go at about a 45-degree angle, shoot it at the ground, and this goes just like that, and goes maybe about an inch or 2 in the ground, and you can go wiggle it out, and you've got your bolt back, and your bow is decocked. So that's how I do it. All right, let me see here. You keep your crane scale on your nightstand, don't you? I mean,
yeah, that's how everybody should do it.
All right, so crane scale's at 0. It is, what does that say, 7.7?
Maybe.
I think it does. 7.5, 7.7, 7.7. I'm going to go with 7.7 pounds, and that's just the bow, not the arrows. So, there you go. 7.7 pounds. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know what bows normally run. I know I went to the store, looked at them, and said I like the looks of that one because it was compact. So I mean, you can see I'm a fairly short guy. I'm only like 5'7", and it fits me good. It fits Jennifer comfortably. You're 5'4".
Yeah.
And Brandon can shoot it, and he's like 2 foot tall.
Do you know the brand?
I am an elf.
So
No, I'm a leprechaun.
Too
Do you
much,
know the
Brandon.
brand on it?
It's Mission by Mathews MXB is what it says on here. Mission by Mathews MXB.
And we shot about 3 or 4 different crossbows before we decided on this one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's etched in there. So there, I think the lights kind of got it there. So you can come back and look at the video later if you need to. Mission by Mathews MXB. And I believe the model is called a Dart. I could be wrong on that. I'll tell you what, y'all sit there and let Brandon show you his compound bow, and I'll kind of scooch off to the side here a little bit, and
One more question.
I'll double check. Okay.
Whether you want to answer it or not, it's your prerogative. But
course.
someone has asked the question: how much we paid for it?
It is not a cheap crossbow. I mean, that's just the. I mean, look, folks, I have a. I don't know about your experience. Sorry, I'm trying to spell Mission by Mathews while typing at the same time. I don't know about your experience, but I have learned the long, hard way that it's better to buy quality once than to buy junk even twice. So I don't know the exact price, but it was about a $1,000 crossbow. But I am happy all the day long to buy a $1,000 crossbow that I can shoot for 15 years and pass down to my son, than to buy one now and in 2 years have to buy another, and then in 2 years have to buy another, or whatever the case may be. So I am a big believer in buying quality right out of the box. All right, so
never dry fire it.
the model is actually a Dagger. I don't know if that's what I've been saying this whole time or not, but it's an MXB Dagger is the crossbow that we're using. And I don't know, so there you are. All right, Brandon, what did you want to... You just wanted to show them what you got there?
It's not as good as your bow, though.
That's
It's not a crossbow. It's a regular...
It's a compound bow.
Yours is a compound bow.
Mm-hmm.
It's... I forgot what these arrows are. I have the same arrow, I think.
Brandon's got a similar kind of thing. He's got the expanding bolts on his.
I've only got one in my quiver right now.
Yeah.
I have multiple ones in my room.
Lots of field tips there. So, same kind of thing with Brandon. This is a Bear. It's a youth compound bow. Bought it from the same place, Southern Sportsman here, Meridian, Mississippi. People were asking all about the other. I don't. If this has any kind of model to it, it's still not. It's not going to tell me either. But it is a Bear youth compound bow. There's a serial number here, but I'm not going to give you that.
How dare you? Everybody needs their cereal.
John Lord said, "Hey, if it takes down a deer, then it's a keeper."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
One arrow in the right spot and it's gone.
Brandon can hunt with this compound bow. It puts out plenty of oomph to safely and humanely put down a deer.
It's an Apprentice too. It's up at the top.
Apprentice 2? Oh, look at that. You twist things around enough and your wife will see it for you.
Yeah!
So there you go. Bear Apprentice 2.
Yeah, nice
now this was a Christmas present, so don't go asking me how much I spent on this. But suffice to say, it is not a entry-level Walmart bow.
It's a nice bow. I like it.
This is one that will last for a long time and is completely repairable. Brandon somehow lost his eye peep at one point, and we took it in, and they were able to fix it up.
He unstrung it too.
Yep.
I don't know how it happened though, but
anyway, so there you go. There's Brandon's compound bow.
okay. Now that you've seen our weapons, we're gonna find you. Okay. What?
Gonna find you.
Yes, we're gonna find each.
All right,
and every
that's
one.
enough.
No.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop. Okay. So I have a question for you. So before we go too much further, and I'm not sure, I haven't been vain enough to go back and see how many people are watching here, but if
78 right now.
78 right now. So if you process your own animals, I want to know if you have a saw, what kind of saw do you have? I have heard 1,000 different things. I have heard, just use a reciprocating saw and keep a blade for processing your animals. I've heard use a reciprocating saw and just clean the blade before you use it on your animals. Or the same thing with having a hacksaw. Just use a regular hacksaw and either keep it clean or keep a separate blade before using it on your animals. So in preparation of deer season and such, I am thinking about buying a bone saw. I want to get a bone saw. And I ran across this website, which I have actually looked at in the past. Wyoming Saws is obviously a company here in the United States. They sell a bunch of different knives as well. Everything they do seems to be for hunting and processing. So I like that they're a specialty kind of place, and I like that their saws break down. So I'm thinking about getting one of these Wyoming Saw number 2s. I like how long it is, so I don't run into a problem where I'm trying to hack through something that's too long for this little one, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I can do just fine, and the more compact one is easier to handle and easier to tote around someplace. So I'd like to hear what your expertise is on using bone saws and what your recommendations would be, so that we can do some processing.
Cockeyed Homestead said you need to ask Alderman and Danny.
Okay. Well, I'll certainly ask Tommy. Tommy's a good friend, and I'll ask what his opinion is on things. I've already taken one of Tommy's advice, which is that if we are to process our pigs, then we would skin them instead of trying to boil and scrape them. And to skin them, you use they got different names for it. I've heard them called a shingle knife. I've heard them, it's like a razor blade it's like a different kind of, like a hook razor blade or something like that. Whatever it's termed, I've already got one of those in standby to help out with processing there. But now I'm also interested about the saw. So leave your comments there and let me know about what kind of saws. So way back like a half hour ago, Cockeyed Homestead asked, what all are you doing on your homestead, animals, gardens, and trees? Well, you'll learn about the pigs later this week, and as things stand right this minute, that's the only livestock animal on the property. We were hitting a reset button, learning from past mistakes, and wanting to, rather than try to piece things together and get to another stage, we got rid of everything. We either gave it or sold it or processed it, and going to hit that reset button and build new enclosures and things like that. So
press it now. Done.
You know, I've seen where a lot of people get by with some really questionable enclosures. I'm talking about a couple sticks in the ground with some hex chicken wire. And, you know, I just can't stand hex chicken wire. I think it's the worst product out there. And we have had a lot of problems with animals escaping or with predators getting in, and I don't know, just a bunch of different things where we feel like we've kind of got to take the next step.
Take that.
Get some better enclosures and things for the animals. We also need things like some place to process the animals. Right now, the place to process the animals is the middle of the backyard on a folding plastic table. So we kind of need, you know, something a little bit better than that, to get out of the elements, out of the bugs and things like that for things that take a long time to process. So, yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with animals. The garden is waning. There's a video a couple days ago about what's still growing. Nothing's changed since then. So there you have that.
We're slowing down.
The trees, we have, so nature provides on the property a bunch of acorn trees, some oaks, several different varieties of oaks. We have a variety of hickory, and now I can't remember the exact variety. Choke something. I want to say it's choke.
We have apples everywhere.
Anyway, so that's what's on the property naturally that has a homestead use to it. We also have a couple different varieties of apple trees that we've planted that have blossomed a couple times, like 2 or 3 blossoms each tree, but never a full flush that has been pollinated. So we've never gotten any fruit off of them. We have a Asian persimmon, which earlier in the year you can see the video about transplanting it. So it hasn't grown any. And we have another apple tree that was a graft that I did at the local extension office. Went there, took a class on doing grafting, and one of mine lived longer than a couple months, and so it's in the ground. And the best one to talk about is our Methley plum tree. That thing is happy. It's nice when you can just tell that the tree is happy. This plum tree, if it doesn't blossom and produce a basket full of plums next year, then I won't know what to do, because it is growing voraciously, and I think it's going to be a bumper crop next year on it. So I'm really excited about it, and looking forward to seeing how it grows down the line.
Don't we have like 2 maple trees?
We do. On either south corner of the house, we have sugar maple trees, but that's a long-term investment. That's like maybe by the time Brandon moves out, they're big enough to possibly start producing any kind of syrup. You know, you can get syrup from a wide variety of trees. It's not just maple trees that produces syrup. It's just that the maple trees produce a stupendous quantity of syrup in the right environment, the right climate, and all that.
Hence maple tree.
So we could potentially get syrup from a couple different, like the hickory tree. That we got a couple on our property that are probably big enough to try to tap. We just haven't done that yet. But we got these big sugar maples, specifically where they're planted for shade, and sugar maple in hopes that down the line maybe it's something that produces a product for us. So
yay! I won't be here to taste the maple.
Yeah.
Blast.
So Courtney asks, do you compost? Because I was wondering, or excuse me, I was about to build a compost bin with
Leftover chicken wire.
Oh, leftover chicken wire.
Chicken wire.
I haven't composted much of this year. I certainly have composted in the past, and to each their own. There's a lot of people who like my good friend that I've already talked about before, Blake Kirby, Daddy Curb's Farm. He does his compost in very small piles. With wire. I don't know if it's chicken wire specifically, or if it's field fence or welded wire or what it is. You'd have to go check out Blake Kirby or Daddy Curb's Farm here on YouTube. But he does the loops or the circles of wire that get material put into them and puts water in it and let it compost. He has a lot more animals than we do, and he can produce compost very quickly. That was kind of the problem I was having with compost, was the material and keeping the compost hot and finding enough nitrogen to go in there and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't really made much this year. I've tried just piles and moving with the shovel. I've tried piles that I turned with my tractor. But Blake Kirby is having a lot of success in smaller piles. You know, most people tell you got to have a pretty big pile, get the heat up there so it really composts. But he's having success with piles that are a little smaller than what people say you've absolutely got to have. So that might be something for you to check out. The one time that we used wire, I used a field fence welded wire, and what I was trying to do is get the volume that they were telling you had to have. And so this was a pile that was about 4 foot in diameter and about 4 foot tall inside the cage. And the problem was the composting material just sticks to the wire. And so now the only way to get that wire off is to open it and peel it off. And then you've got to put the wire back together and toss everything back over. And I personally found it to be more work than I cared to be doing. So maybe I was doing it wrong. Don't take that for gospel and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Go find out. Maybe Jared was doing something wrong and there's something else for you to do.
We've only got 10 minutes and there haven't been many questions. People put questions in that chat box.
You love questions, don't you?
Put them there.
All right. WeTree, thanks for being on tonight. You asked, what kind of preparations are you doing for hurricanes? Well, there's an interesting topic because there is a hurricane down there in the Caribbean. It's going to go to the other side of Florida, it looks like. We get concerned about anything that develops or makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. In case you're not familiar, we're in Mississippi.
I didn't know there was a hurricane.
The last one that
Yeah,
actually
something.
hit us 2 weeks after we moved to Mississippi, and really is the only one that has been strong enough to even make it far enough inland to hit us.
Many tornadoes around us and stuff.
Well, yeah, I think Brandon's hitting on the real thing here.
Yeah.
Hurricane season is an impact for us, but not because of the damage you normally see done at coastlines, and not normally because of the wind damage. I mean, Katrina hit us as a Category 1 hurricane, but you're talking about coming 300 miles inshore to be able to get to us. Usually, our biggest concern is either rain bands that won't stop, and so we get flooding from it, or worse, strong tornado-causing storms out in the bands.
Yeah, tornadoes will go around us, but we haven't had a tornado too close to us. Like, they've been a few miles away, but not, like, near us.
Yeah, we have had tornadoes in the county. We've had tornado warnings that made us worried enough to secure ourselves, but nothing ever came close enough to say, whew, that was a close call, kind of a thing. So to answer the question, preparations, I mean, we have the tools necessary to deal with being out of power and still be informed, and all those kind of things. I mean, really, the one thing, it would be really nice if we could put in an actual storm shelter.
Yeah.
But that's a very big expense. So we haven't got to that yet, but really that's the only preparation that I feel like we lack any on when it comes to hurricanes. So there you are.
We'll be okay.
Brandon Cockeyed Homestead wants to know if you are looking forward to hunting season.
I've got my bow. Tell me what I should shoot now. What do I shoot?
That doesn't sound like a very responsible hunter. That sounds like a kid on YouTube.
No, yes, I am excited for hunting.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
am I responsible now?
Well, you're a little more responsible. You pick up your bow and say, "Go, tell me what to shoot." You sound like Daddy hasn't given you any kind of instruction on.
I know how to shoot a bow. I can responsibly handle it. Yes, I'm excited for it. Okay. I'm very excited.
Which part are you excited about? The waiting around in the cold for hours listening to the squirrels? Is that the part you're excited about?
No.
No.
I get to eat something.
Yeah.
Oi.
Yeah, so there have been times, well, one really, to be honest, I think it's the only one I can think of, where it was so cold and all we were doing was listening to squirrels that Brandon asked if he could get down and go in the house.
Yeah. It got too cold. Like,
our hopes, it's probably not going to happen this season. I got some other expenses to have to deal with. We were wanting to do it this season, but we'd like to put in an actual shoot house where we could have a little tiny portable propane heater and make it a little more tolerable to sit out there for a little while.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you want to hunt?
Deer. Maybe a rabbit. Rabbit's really yummy. I like that. Maybe a rabbit.
Tall Oak Farm wants to know whether or not Brandon's ever helped with the processing.
I don't think I have. I mean, I've watched you guys process ducks and chickens before, but I don't believe I've ever helped with it.
I don't think he's ever had hands-on.
Nah.
We're going to have to fix that.
Uh-oh.
I can't believe it.
He's had background help where we've got him running back and forth to go get stuff for us, but I don't think he's...
I'll go over there, grab a duck, and come back.
You and I have always had it down where I do the...
It's just a process. We get into a routine.
Exactly.
You're going to have to become a cog in that wheel. I can't believe you've gotten away with it for so long.
Great. You found my master plan. Great. People on the internet have found my master plan, and they didn't even know about processing yet.
Is Brandon interested in learning how to trap?
Trap? Ooh. How to trap. That sounds nice.
Because we've done trapping on the property before. Is he interested in that?
I've put thought into going out and making a trap out of a tree or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't done it because I don't know where to find the stuff or have the material for it.
So you are interested?
Yes, I'm very interested. If I could catch something and then go out there, get it, and come and have it for dinner.
Yeah. That's
That'd
the
be
general
nice.
idea.
That'd
So,
be a nice idea.
so we have deer. There are turkey in the area, but we've never seen them on our property.
Yes, we have.
Wild.
once.
We've not seen wild turkey on our
What? That
property.
daggum turkey escaped before we ate it.
There are wild hogs in the area, but we have not seen them on our property. Outside of that, I don't think there's any other game bird that really comes to the property or any other kind of game
You can
animal.
hunt squirrel.
Yeah, you can hunt those darn squirrels.
It'll take
Shannon
some,
will help you with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll take some darn good aim. She'll do her little bunny hop dance to go and get it.
Yeah.
She'll hop around when she's excited, like a rabbit.
But otherwise, I mean, we've got coons and we've got possums.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what else. Skipping my mind there. So, all right, we got 2 minutes left. Before I run out of time to say so, up next will be Grandpa's Farm. So make sure you go check him out. So we'll kind of wrap things up really quick here so you can go over and check out Grandpa's Farm live video as a part of the homesteadnetwork.com. WeTree had a follow-up question about the storm shelter. How deep does it need to be so it doesn't float in the ground here? Well, first off, we have a bit of advantage where if you look at the topographical map, we're basically halfway up a hill, so water doesn't really stand in our area.
Grandpa's farm is not next tonight.
Oh,
Uh-oh, what
change
happened?
in the programming.
Oh, no.
What is next?
We need to
Do
stick
know?
to the program. We're all gonna
No
die.
longer part of the network, but they
Uh-oh.
haven't said
Okay.
no one is up next on showtimes.
Ooh, well,
You
I
can
guess.
talk as long as you want.
Yes!
Okay.
Extra time.
All right.
Extra
Well, I
time.
guess I need to look every week and find out who's supposed to follow me up because apparently there's been some changes to the lineup. So I won't be in as quick of a rush to get off, but I do have to keep my podcast to less than an hour. So we're not going to just keep going for another hour after this. We're going to wrap things up. So WeTree, to answer your question, in the sense of how wet the ground gets, we're not worried about it floating and popping up. But we do have very heavy clay, and I don't think that we would need to bury it any deeper than the general specs would require for it to be buried. So
to just walk outside and see the shelter pop out of the ground would be kind of freaky.
a lot of people around here do opt for the above ground option, just the big cement block, so to speak. Some people have those, but then have bermed up dirt on three sides of it to kind of bury it, make it look a little nicer so they can do vegetation around the side of it. I'd rather have mine in the ground, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Ooh, I like that question.
Let's see. Roy and Faye Cartwright had the same question. Water table's too high where I am for underground storm shelters. So I guess probably if anybody in your area does have storm shelters, they're doing the above ground ones, or maybe they're even doing the idea of reinforcing a room inside the home rather than even having to leave the house at all. So we had a big dream once, and I think probably a lot of homestead or prepper people have this sort of dream where you have a closet where you open the door and there's the ladder that takes you down to the storm shelter, and the storm shelter has a secret access to get you out, and you go out and into the barn for your escape route and all those kind of things.
That's like a dream shelter,
Yeah.
Just to be able to say, oh, there's our shelter.
But
Let's
that's
go there.
not going to happen this time,
Sad.
right now. All right. So Big Bear is going to go live. So if y'all are interested in that, you can head over to Big Bear here on YouTube, and they're going to go live. I don't know how they keep up with going live so much. They've got some faith-based programming. They've got some stuff that's specifically for essential oils. They've got some general homesteading times, so different subjects for different times that they go live. But man, y'all just pump out the content. I don't know. I can't keep up with you.
Instead of videos, I give out live streams.
And Ashley asked if we're open to visitors. Yes, we have had people come and visit the farm. We just ask that you send us an email and schedule that ahead. So either Jennifer can go ahead and put the email in the comments, or you can go to jnjacres.net and hit the contact form and tell us that you've got an interest in visiting. So
Feel free to ask to visit.
We've had people from 2.5 hours away come just to visit, to help us out a little on the homestead. We don't require that. That's what they wanted to do. So come on out and just realize that what you see on YouTube is the pretty side of the property. There's a lot of work still being done around here.
Yeah,
so.
There's a little messy side. There's a messy side to this place.
Brandon's bedroom. So on that note.
We're giving personal tours of Brandon's bedroom.
No!
Hazmat suit not included.
My room is not that dirty. I'm pretty clean.
Mama, any last questions before we wrap it up?
Not that I can see.
Okay. Thank you all so much for being a part of the show today. I really appreciate the comments. You never know where it's going to go. I never expected to weigh my bow on a live YouTube feed, but there it is. 7.7 pounds. Now I know. Hey.
I'd like to state something. My room is not that dirty, actually. I prefer to keep it pretty clean.
Of all the children, Brandon keeps his room the cleanest.
He just vacuumed it a couple days ago, too, and I didn't even ask him to.
Yeah.
I don't like to live in a pigsty.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for watching.
Hey, wait a minute here.
Thank you all so much for watching.
There.
Please don't forget to subscribe and come back and be a part of our show again next week. We'll see you all next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you later.